Let's talk about DIY for a minute. And when I say DIY, I'm talking about, home projects, woodworking, things of that nature, right? Jess and I like to consider ourselves professional DIYers. We've been doing DIY for several years now and professionally for 4. When I say professionally, I just mean people pay us to do those things for them. Well, here are a few very hard lessons that we have learned along the way, and maybe it'll help you. This right here is our business license. Never did I think I would have one of these. If you would have told me 4 years ago that a massive tree falling in our backyard would lead us down a career path of renovating homes, remodeling kitchens, woodworking, and interior design, I really would have thought you were crazy. Well, I wouldn't have ruled it out completely, but it wasn't on my radar. To give you a little bit more context, we got to do some exposition. So let's rewind 10 years. 10 years ago this week, I moved to Nashville. I had a love for music. I wanted to be a worship leader. I wanted to be an artist, a Christian artist. I wanted to be a singer-songwriter. I wanted to do the music thing. That's why I came to Nashville. And music was how I met Jess. We were both attending a church plant and we were involved with the worship team. We started dating, broke a few of the church rules that kind of were ridiculous, but that's a whole nother story. And ultimately got married. And that's really where our DIY journey begins as a couple. Now, she was an avid DIYer long before me. She actually had way more tools than I did coming into the marriage. I was making videos at the time as well. I had another YouTube channel, filming myself singing songs, just kind of music centered, and enjoyed making the videos. And Jess was like, let's, film ourselves doing projects around the house. And one of our first videos we made was in one of our bedrooms upstairs, that accent wall. And then in May of 2020, a massive tree falls in our backyard. When I say massive, I mean massive. We're pretty confident it was a little over 100 years old, if not in that ballpark. But a major storm came through, these straight line winds, and blew that sucker right over. It was gonna cost us thousands of dollars to get this tree removed and get the backyard cleaned up. And we just didn't have the money for that. We only had enough cash to get the trunk removed. So we had that removed. And then Jess said, let's try to see if we can make some money off of this. So I bought a chainsaw, and she had the idea of chopping up as many of these branches as we could and creating these little cookie tables. And that's where my woodworking journey began. So we did that, and we sold on Etsy around 50 of those tables and dozens just in person to family and friends. It was a great experience. We were able to make a little bit of cash to be able to pay to have the rest of the wood removed. And yes, if you have interest, those videos are still live on our channel. You can go watch that whole experience. Fast forward 2 years, 2022, 8 years into the music career, nothing was really happening with it. Not enough to pay the bills. And Jess and I talked, and we agreed that maybe it was time for me to find something else to do. In addition, if I wanted to continue music, do that, but just find more work. We needed to make more money. And the only thing I really had an interest in at the time was the woodworking and some of the handy skills that I had developed doing projects around the house. We had a plethora of tools. What could we do with all of those skills and those tools? Well, Jess found this app. It's called TaskRabbit, very similar to Angie's List or Thumbtack. Just a place where you can hire professionals to come do projects around your house, handyman tasks, electricians, so on and so forth. I signed up and started taking any job that I could get. I was mowing yards, weed eating, pulling weeds, doing a lot of yard work for whatever reason. It was in the summer. I was also hanging a lot of TVs, people moving to Nashville, setting up their apartments, hanging art for them, and then some small home repairs. Well, as you might suspect, there was a little bit of a snowball effect that took place with all of that work. I was getting consistent 5-star reviews. I was getting booked all the time and making more money than I really had ever made in my entire life. But that snowball effect looked like this. A client would hire me to do a simple job, and then I would ask, hey, is there anything else I can do for you? And they would say, yes, do this. And then they would hire me again and again and again for bigger and bigger projects. And then those customers started to refer me to their friends, and their friends would refer me to their friends. All of those referrals opened up the horizon of possibilities for myself and for Jess, countless new opportunities for us to expand our skill set. With every new job was a new learning curve, which also came with some mistakes, some costly, some easy to fix. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But all of these factors led to credibility and trust amongst our customers. So here we are, 4 years later, we just wrapped up a major kitchen remodel, a full house renovation. I'm making way more money than I ever have before, and I'm getting to do what I love and what I enjoy. But now that we've got the exposition out of the way, let's get to what you clicked on this video for. Let's talk about the 3 major mistakes that we made, our 3 major wins, and then 3 of our favorite projects. Mistake number 1, rushing the job. It's a lesson that I am still learning to this day. Every new job comes an opportunity for me to slow down. There's a saying that haste makes waste. Wasted time, wasted material, wasted money. I can't tell you how many times I've done a job, I didn't read the instructions, or I tried to rush it just to save 10 minutes, only to find out that I did it wrong or I messed up, and it costs me 20 minutes, 30 minutes to go back and redo it or fix it. All the mistakes that we've made that were costly are because pretty much I rushed the job. That's the foundation of all of our mistakes. Justin gets in a hurry because he thinks that if he doesn't get home by 5 o'clock, the world's gonna end. So, slow down. Don't rush. Take your time. It's better that it takes time and it's done right and it's done well than it's rushed just to get it done. The second major mistake that I have made over the past 4 years that has not been good for us as a business, as a family, for my personal, mental, and physical health is not taking time to rest. Time is money, but we are also in this for the long haul. I would like to be doing this stuff, around retirement age. I would still like to be able to do some of these things. And the rate that I'm going right now, I'm not going to be able to do that. And here is a prime example of why you should take time to rest. So we were recently doing the home renovation series. You can watch those videos on our channel. And I got bursitis of the knee. It was incredibly painful. The morning that I woke up with pain in my knee and it was swollen, I decided to go to work. And then the next day, go to work again. And I bent and I put pressure on the knee. I did everything I should not have done, and it made it so much worse. It ultimately led to an urgent care visit. It led to an orthopedic visit. It led to an ER visit. All of those things cost money. Money that we don't have to spend. All of which was a direct cause of my negligence to not rest. And when I knew something was wrong, I worked hard regardless of how I was feeling physically. My own negligence led to medical bills. It led to me having to depend on other people. It led to our timeline for our business with our work schedule being pushed back. The lesson learned for me is I have to slow down. Obviously, we covered that, and I have to rest. In these big projects that we do, I'm not Superman. I cannot do it all. I have to ask for help, and I need to rest. It's plain and simple. And then the third major mistake that I have made, and this is major. This one takes the cake. Not checking for water lines. Yeah, I've hit a few water lines. It's not fun. I was not being cautious. I was not being thorough or thoughtful about what I was doing, and it led to hitting a couple of water lines. And this cost us several $100s. Which is not fun when someone messages you and says, hey, here's a pipe that you busted, or you're drilling into a wall and all of a sudden you hear that water. So don't make these same mistakes. It's painful. It's stressful. My advice, get every form of a stud finder that you can. Don't just knock on the wall. Double, triple, quadruple check that you're not about to attach a shelf or a cabinet to a wall that has a water line directly behind there and you're about to go right through it. Know where the water shutoff valve is and use the minimum amount of screws to fasten a toe kick to the wall. You don't have to hit 4 studs. You just don't. I did. I did that, and that last one right into a water line. Right dead center into that water line. Let's talk about positive things now. Let's talk about our successes and our wins. The first thing I would consider a success over the tenure of our professional DIYing career would be the number of leaps of faith that we had to take. And when I say a leap of faith, I mean taking on a job or a project for a customer that is just different enough that you second guess your ability to do the job. You're not really sure how it's going to turn out. You're not really sure if you know how to do it. But ultimately, you say yes, and we did. We said yes. We full sended it off the cliff, dove into the water, and no broken bones. I think it's similar to sports, like a baseball, basketball, football game. You have your fundamentals, you've got the skill sets and talent to do the job, to get the job done, but the opponent is different. You're playing a different team, a different lineup in the team, you're playing at a different stadium, a different court. All of those factors make you second guess what the foundation is. I do know how to use a saw. I do know how to put things on a wall and build. I can do this. We took that leap of faith. We said yes, and it turned out okay. We survived. That to me is a huge win. The second win for me is being able to provide financially for my family. And I wasn't always able to do that, especially being in the music career. As you know, songwriters, they don't get paid very much. And trying to find a gig or a job to play music it's difficult. For me as a man, I take pride in knowing that I can provide for my family. And whenever I'm able to say yes to a job and accomplish that job, I make a customer happy, they pay me, and we can pay our bills, that gives me great pride. And that is a huge success and a huge win for me. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm making way more money than I ever have before. And I don't want you to think that I'm in it for the money. I'm doing it because I love it and I get paid to do it. And then the final win or success, the full house renovation that we just previously finished. While it's definitely not the pinnacle of our work, it's very much a high point. And in 10 years, that might be different. It might be, hey, we just finished building this $3 million home. And at that point, that'll be the pinnacle. That'll be the high point. Not saying that's gonna happen, but you never know. I won't rule it out. But it is a high point because I think about everything that we've been through as a couple and individually to get to that point, to be able to say yes to that job. And that was another high risk, high reward job, another leap of faith where I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I think about all the money that we have spent, all the investment of all these tools that are just very disorganized right now. We're working on that though. All the blood and the cuts and the knee bursitis and the tired eyes and the restless nights and the driving all over Nashville and all the traffic. I freaking hate Nashville traffic. And all the skills that I've developed to be able to get to that point and be able to execute. That is a huge success in my eyes. And while I'm definitely not a pro home renovator, I'm not a master carpenter or master woodworker. I do, however, have the determination to get the job done to the client's expectation and to give my very best. As a customer, you are always going to get my very best. And then lastly, here are 3 jobs that we've done over the past 4 years that were the catalyst for growth for our business and for me personally as a DIYer. I mean, first and foremost, obviously it was the tree situation. I bought this router that's up here and I started planing tables and really just figuring out how to operate these tools safely and to create something that somebody would want to buy. Researching, learning how to sell, all of those things were major growth spurts. And it really started with building those small, simple cookie tables. I learned about epoxy, I learned about polyurethane, sanding techniques, and any type of woodworking project that I do today is because of what I learned out there in the carport with limited Ryobi tools, just figuring it out. The second project that was a huge catalyst for growth was I was on TaskRabbit back in 2022. I was hired by someone in East Nashville in a historic home that needed a portion of their floor replaced. And this was another leap of faith. I was like, I don't really know how to do that, but we're gonna figure it out. And we did. I ripped up a section of flooring in the closet that was hidden, that you couldn't see. I took that wood and I put it in the hallway. And then I just put pine wood in that closet and she stained it and all was said and done. But that led to her deck stairs were rotted and they needed to be removed. You could not walk on them. And I said yes to it. And that job right there, that's the one that sticks out in my mind as this is kind of where the home renovation stuff and being able to say yes to those projects started. So I ripped out all of the rotted material. I put in a couple of new posts. I got some stringers. I cut the stringers. I added the deck treads. We got it painted and got the rails up. It was a great opportunity for me to not only build this thing for the customer, but also having a relationship with the customer to where they trust me enough that I did a good enough job on this first project that they wanted me to do more corresponding projects. And while it's not like my favorite project that I've ever done, it's nowhere near my favorite, it was an opportunity where I saw another growth spurt in myself as a person, my skill set, being able to be a people person. It was just great. I don't know what else to say about it. We've talked about the home renovation project. That one is obvious, but the kitchen remodel, let's talk about that one. We recently did a kitchen remodel for a client that had me back several times to do various projects for her. And then she finally asked at the beginning of this year, 2024, if we could remodel her kitchen. She wanted a brand new kitchen. And that was another, like, I have never done this before. I know how to tile. I know how to put cabinets up. I know these things. Can I manage it? Can I manage the money well? Can I quote this well? Can I fulfill the client's expectations? I did a lot of doubting, a lot of second guessing myself. But again, ultimately, we obviously said yes. We have a video on it. It's the last video. You can go watch it after this one. We said yes to it and figured it out. I leaned in to my skill set. I leaned into what I knew was the truth and what I knew I could do. It helped me with my communication. It helped me set client expectations. It expanded my network. I met a plumber who led me to an electrician. It grew my relationship with my friend Adrian. He was able to help on that project. There's just a lot of really positive things that took our business and took me to the next level. And if someone asked me, can you renovate my kitchen? I would say yes with a lot more confidence. And that's the lesson, that's the growth. That's where I wanna be. I wanna be able to say that yes. I wanna be able to say yes to the job, to the project with more confidence. And that kitchen remodel gave me a tremendous amount of confidence. If you wanna see all of my favorite projects, go watch every one of our videos because they're all my favorite. Go check out our Instagram and our TikTok and you will see the plethora of things that we've done over the past 4 years. Those are my favorite, but specifically the pergola that we did last year, hands down my favorite project.
Why are we going to Home Depot? What are we getting from Home Depot? Home Depot.
We have to get all of our supplies.
I think we got the wood that we need. We just need to go get it cut. Well, we got the wood and the wood stain and the brushes.
You're gonna have the dog chewing his straight.
Okay, we've got one set of shelves done. Great job. You ready to go on our date?
I think so.
It's been a good day, hasn't it? We released a brand new song. Now we're going on a date. This is gonna be the top shelf.
I was an idiot and made the mistake of measuring.
Measure.
It's measuring.
It's not a.
I made a mistake and I measured something wrong. So we luckily didn't do it yet. We realized the mistake.
Well, it's not possible to do.
Yeah, it's not possible. So we're fixing it now.
Okay, so we've got the edges cut off that we needed for all the boards.
Cut and we ripped the boards is what we did.
Cut and rip the boards.
Cut and ripped the boards and now we have to stain them. Probably 2 coats of stain.
Alright, this is what the wood looks like after we've stained it. That's what it looks like before the stain. This is what it's going to look like after. And we're wiping it down to get all the excess off.
To call myself a professional DIYer is a little tongue-in-cheek. To call myself a professional at all might be a stretch. But in reality, the essence of DIY, or a DIYer, specifically again in home renovations and woodworking projects, things of that nature, is someone that chooses not to hire a professional, to figure out how to do those things themselves. And that's what Jess and I have done for several years now. That's been our motto, just figure it out. To the extent that the repetition of that DIYing led to a skill set, which ultimately led to knowledge and then paying customers, and those paying customers led to lived experience, which is wisdom. Now, I'm not saying that I'm wise and I know everything about DIYing and all of those things. Nothing could be further from the truth. We will spend the rest of our careers, my life, learning and growing. And that's what's so exciting about doing this. There's always an opportunity to learn and to grow, and that is DIY.
No, that's not a table.
That's the perfect table.